Thanks for joining me. I'm glad you're here. My name is Jarrell. I develop games for a living, and today I want to discuss why is modern writing so bad. When we say modern day, we're referring to the 2020s. And something that we've seen is that for some reason writing just feels worse, and it can be difficult to really pinpoint exactly why writing is worse. So today I'm going to explain some fundamentals with you. If you are interested in getting into writing, if you are a writer yourself and are looking to improve your skills and your understanding of the craft, then I hope this episode today will help you. And if you just enjoy media like me, then hopefully this will help you identify what is strong writing versus weak writing. So something that is extremely important to understand is that storytelling is a two-way street. Storytelling is not about the writer just shoving information down the viewer's throat. That is not storytelling. Just because you can type out words and put them on a page and make someone say it does not mean that you are a writer and a storyteller. The craft of writing and storytelling is a very specific set of skills that requires a very deep understanding of how people think, how people feel, how people respond to audio-visual stimulation. So I'm hoping that I can help you understand that just putting words down, that's not enough. Good storytelling is about offering information and letting the viewer infer, to make assumptions, and to fill in the blanks. And that is what I mean when I say that storytelling is a two-way street. The viewer should be involved. That is effective storytelling. So you can very quickly identify bad writing in three ways, and this is a test that you can do. I'm not assigning homework today. That's why this format is not in the Sun Grand University format. But run these three tests. So first, if there are any lines of dialogue in the work, whether this is a video game, a TV show, or a film, if there is any line of dialogue that says, "This is what I am, this is how I feel," and it doesn't mean literally that, but it means that is what the character is saying. If the character is saying, "This is what I am, this is how I feel," that is incompetent writing. If it is just literally saying what the character is, literally saying what the character feels, that is bad writing. Number two is the second example. You have two characters. If one character says, "Tell me what I need to know," and the second character says, "Okay," that's an example of bad writing. Again, character one says, "Tell me what I need to know." Character two says, "Okay." There is no friction. There is no tension. It is just a linear movement in a very dull, boring way. I need information. Tell me the information. Okay, let's go. And the third example you can use to check whether something is written poorly is if you see a line of dialogue that says, "This is what happened. This is what will happen next." This is something that we see happen most often, especially in Netflix shows, the vast majority of which are so painfully poorly written that it really induces physical pain onto my body when I see that. So again, the three things I want you to, when you're watching media, when you're playing a game, check this. If you see a character that says, "This is what I am, this is how I feel," ding, bad writing. Number two, character one says, "Tell me what I need to know," and the other character says, "Okay," ding, bad writing. And number three, "This is what happened, this is what will happen next." 3 strikes and you're out. That is a very easy gauge to determine if something is just incompetently poorly written. So if you are a writer yourself, I'm going to share with you some tricks, and we can go over this in greater detail in a Sun Grand University episode. So first, you have to understand that the viewer will understand your character. The viewer is not stupid. Sometimes they're just not paying attention. Sometimes they're scrolling on TikTok. I don't know, whatever the young people use these days. So the viewer will understand your character, and they will understand how your character feels. So let your character, if they are in an exchange of dialogue and the character needs to give some information, let your character lie for an interesting reason. This is a trick that you can use. So let your character lie for an interesting reason. So an example of this, the other day my girlfriend's dad invited us over for dinner, and that, every couple of weeks, they'll invite us for dinner. And when we got there, everyone was in the pool, and I didn't bring any swim trunks or anything like that. And normally I can borrow some, so I go to my girlfriend's dad and I said, hey, oh, do you have any swim trunks that I can borrow? And he goes in the back and he comes out, and he's got the tightest Speedos that I've ever seen. And I wear the big baggy swim trunks, you know. And he gives me these tiny Speedos, you know. He's sort of eyeing me, and I say, oh, don't you have any other swim trunks? I know, because I've been there before. I've borrowed swim trunks before. And I said, oh, can I just get some other swim trunks, like bigger, more coverage, you know? But I said, oh, do you have any other, I just said, do you have any other swim trunks? And my girlfriend's dad just looked at me and he said, nope, this is the only one that's available. And I knew he was lying. Why was he lying? Why did he make me wear those tight Speedos? And that's an interesting example. That is, let your character lie for an interesting reason. Why did he make me wear those? I know for a fact that there were other swim trunks that I could have borrowed, but why did he lie? The next trick that you can use for writing is, instead of having your character say how they feel, let your character do something in response to how they feel. For example, you can have a character say, I'm sad. One character says, how are you feeling? And the character says, I'm sad. And I've seen that so often in writing in the 20s, and that's incompetent. This is incompetent writing. And something that you can do instead is to show how the character feels by letting them do something in response to how they feel. So for example, if the character is feeling sad, instead of having them say, I'm sad, you can show the character they're staying up late at night, they're drinking whiskey or vodka, and you show them trying to write a song on the piano, and they're putting lyrics down and they're trying to play the piano, but now they have a hand injury and it prevents them from being able to play the piano properly, and they get frustrated, and you show the pain in their hands, you show the trembling. And this is a way that you can show how this character responds to the way that they feel, and by showing that you don't have to say this character is sad. Because we are all human, we have some degree of shared experience, we understand this is a situation that would make someone feel sad or frustrated, because we can see how they feel about it. And that is infinitely more interesting, because we are giving greater insight in an interesting way into the mental state of that character, what their objectives are, what they are trying to do, and how their situation conflicts with their objectives and their goals. The next trick that you can employ when you are writing is, instead of saying what has happened in the past, show the effects of it. Instead of saying what will happen next, show what characters think and feel about those potential upcoming events. So some examples are, say for example, if characters got into a fight recently, if we were watching a modern Netflix show, if we were playing a modern video game, we would likely see two characters that would say, oh, I'm mad at you, we had a fight last week. The next time you watch media, watch for this, because this is something that happens. We did this, we did this. So that is so boring. And instead of doing that, you show the effects of it. And you show, instead of having characters look at each other and say, oh, we're mad at each other, we got in a fight, show them not talking to each other, actively walking around each other, giving each other a look. And there's just a bit of tension there, and just give each other a dirty look, and then they walk away, and then they look away from each other. And people will understand, something bad must have happened. And this becomes, instead of just shoving information down the viewer's throat, you have turned this into a two-way street, where now the viewer can watch that and say, oh, well, these two people are mad at each other, but why are they mad at each other though? What happened? And by letting the viewer ask questions, you are turning this into an engaging, interesting story. Instead of letting characters just say what will happen next, show them how they feel. So say, for example, if characters are preparing to rob a bank, a modern Netflix show would just have the character say, we're gonna rob the bank on Tuesday, yeah. So instead of that, you can have the characters nervously shopping for their balaclavas and their gloves, and you see them at the shop, and they've got the balaclavas and their gloves and a hammer and a screwdriver, and there's a moment between whoever's the clerk at the checkout where they're looking at the person, they make eye contact, and they're looking back and forth at the balaclavas and the gloves and the hammers, and there's an awkward moment where the clerk is thinking, oh, okay, these characters are probably up to no good. And there's just an awkward silence as they ring them up, and you see the person that's buying this gear, getting ready for the bank robbery. You see them sort of nervous and shaking and trying to just get the transaction over. And then they use their credit card to pay for it, and then the credit card's declined, and you see them nervously trying to figure out, let me dig into my pockets and I'll find some money. You see them spilling their money everywhere. So that is showing us this character is nervous, they have very little money, and they are buying equipment for a bank robbery. We can understand that because people are not stupid. And this is such an effective way to keep people engaged, and instead of people just scrolling on their TikTok or whatever, then people will more likely be engaged with the story and ask what's going to happen next. So I want to go over what makes a character engaging, and this is going to be a short example here, and I would like to go over this kind of detail in a Sungrand University episode in the future. So I want an example of what makes a character engaging, and that is characters making interesting decisions for interesting reasons. And that is something that we can go over in the future in greater detail. I don't want to have to just gloss over that. So that is what I have to discuss today. That is why is writing so bad, is it's not considering the effective way in which storytelling is a two-way street, and that the modern day writing is just blunt force saying literally what is happening, and that is not effective storytelling. That is why storytelling is so bad, is it's not inviting people to be engaged and involved with the storytelling process. As writers, we need to invite people to ask questions and to let people assume and infer, to let people put the pieces together themselves. So I hope this has been interesting to you. If there are any examples, if you come across anything interesting, do let me know in the comments. If you have been watching something recently and you have identified examples of bad writing, do let me know in the comment section. I'm interested in hearing from you. Oh, hey, real quick, do you guys like video games? That is the craziest thing, because I make video games. Check out my latest game. This is the hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. In this game, you have to play as a team of NPCs who don't have magic, don't have special weapons. You have more than 50 playable characters. You build a team of 8, and engaging in the battles is like solving a puzzle, because these characters are so weak, and you are basically at the very end of the game. You've got to figure out how to puzzle solve your way through these battles to get through the final dungeon and defeat the final boss. And of course you can power up your characters, you can make them stronger, but they'll never really be as strong as the hero of Destiny, who sadly was already defeated by the final boss. That game is available on Steam and Switch if you would like to check that out. And it's also available for free on Linux and Android. I'll be updating those as well with some feedback, so I gotta go back to work on my game development. Take care, everyone. Be well. I'll see you around.